Got new gods and goddesses, kings and queens. God knows God and you, the Nazi greeting. Family, allies, enemies. What's happening? Alright, so look, I was just sitting here and I was thinking about back in the days. Was reading something and it came across shell shock, and another term for that is P. Is it traumatic stress syndrome? I think it's TSR. I believe it is. Or, but not for sure. But it's shell shock is another term for it. You could look it up and you could find out all the rest of it. What have you not? But anyway, as I was reading this, I thought about it, and it was another sister that was doing post traumatic stress slave syndrome, and you could look her up. She's from Los Angeles, and she was speaking on it. And I started thinking about when I first read the definition of post-traumatic stress syndrome. I was like, damn, like the hyper awareness, the constant locking doors, and to feel safe and all these things. And I started thinking about that, like, wow. And I just put a post on Facebook that I was 15 years old when I first, as early I can remember, I was about 14, 15 when I can remember being like having these things of hyper awareness and knowing that it could hit me, right? And as I started listening and I looked it up because I was about to research the differences between, matter of fact, let me come up with let me get the exact term because I had looked it up on my phone. I came in here and looked it up. It's CSR. There we go. Combat stress reaction. Combat stress reaction. I was all off. But anyway, CSR. So, and I wanted to know, I was looking up the differences. I was looking up one of them. Combat stress reaction is most frequently known as shell shock or battle fatigue. It is the result in a range of adverse behaviors as a result of stress from battle. So it says some universal symptoms are exhaustion, decrease in responsiveness, hesitancy, and uncertainty, feel like you are disconnected, and the inability to focus. And combat stress reactions is generally short-term and should not be confused with acute stress disorder or post-traumatic stress syndrome, even though some of the symptoms are similar. So I'm going to go down and go to some of the emotionally you may feel frustrated, experience mood swings, become more fearful, and have anxiety, experience feeling of sadness, hopelessness. It says you may even have nightmares and flashbacks to some physical reaction you may have, increased body aches and pains, trouble sleeping, either too much sleep or too little sleep. You can have panic attacks, symptoms like heart pounding, sweating, and trouble breathing, changing your appetite, eating more or less than usual. Women may experience changes in their menstrual cycle. It says mental reaction includes the inability to focus and concentrate, obsessive thoughts about stressful events, increase of thinking about death and dying, and that was one of the ones I had. It says making impulsive decisions. That was another one. I used to, on my GT bike, you just ride out through traffic. Like I'm coming and approaching a busy street, and I just dart out in the middle of the street. And I remember cars slamming on their brakes from hitting me, and that caused a reaction. The homies to think I was crazy, but I like Loki was. It says making self-critical remarks. Behavioral reactions, increase alcohol use or other substances. Now I remember growing up and seeing alcoholics, what we call them winos, hanging out in front of liquor stores, and I'm noticing that in my little homies. And it says other substances as in the drugs. So a lot of my little homies have this post-traumatic stress syndrome, and they don't even know or don't even understand why they have it. It says compulsive behavior like checking doors and locks for safety. Increase anger, confronting others, throwing, breaking things. Increase anger, gang violence, right? Okay. It says isolating from others. Also a symptom of gang violence. This our hood, we don't know them. You feel me? Decrease sexual activity. It says it is important not to blame yourself and your experience combat stress related reactions. There are many ways. Okay, we'll stop there. But you could actually go in and look up more. And if you are suffering from any of those symptoms, then growing up in the hood, we pretty much have a lot of those symptoms. But then when you start listening to troops, watch this. I'm gonna play a little bit of this, then I'm gonna go in on it.
My name is Sergio Corrigan. I've served 4 years in the United States Marine Corps with 7th Regiment. I spent 2 deployments in Iraq. First was during the initial invasion, and I was there from March all the way till November in the city of Najaf. And my second deployment was from August of 2004 through March of 2005, which I spent on the Syrian border. First things I want to cover is as soon as we got to the unit and we received the word that there's a possibility that we're going to be invading Iraq, pretty much propaganda starts spreading. We start...
Okay, so let me stop right there. A lot of you don't understand the importance of propaganda, and what led me to this video, because it was a TV show called The 100 that my cousin told me I should watch, because a lot of things is happening, a lot of things that I speak on is happening in this, and he would think I would enjoy watching it. So I said, all right, no problem. I started watching it, and I watched it, and I watched it. And then one of the first things that I noticed one thing that caught me like, wow, they got a black guy in charge, right? So I'm like, okay, well, maybe this TV show is unlike the others. And then the black guy made a decision that, well, in order for us to stay up there, first he was like, we running out of oxygen. And we have to send down people to Earth just to see us inhabitable. So they sent all the criminals to Earth. Similar to what happened in Australia, or kind of like, and then the United States. So a lot of world history, if you could relate it to. Excuse me. So they sent them down, and as they sent them down, right, we're gonna get back to this, and we're talking about the propaganda. As they sent them down, the people they start coming in conflict with the indigenous people that was there, the indigenous inhabitants of the area. And so as they go, they start to find out that they was fighting these guys. Then one of the indigenous folks fell in love with one of their folks, and they start to intermarry, and everything start to be tranquil after the fighting and conflict. They found out, oh, peaceful resolution. Okay, the rest of the people had to come down, but now the black guy that was in charge. And how all this play in effect, because I mentioned propaganda, and a lot of times I go off on a tangent, but I want you to understand this point. Now we talking about key things, right? So propaganda, if you notice, when they came down with propaganda that it's us against them. The us against them mentality in propaganda is very, very, very dangerous. In another video, I can't find it, and then I would have to look through several different videos because I've been cleaning up and listening, that they say they call them Hajis and sand niggers. Understand this, sand niggers. So with the military mindset of calling them towel heads, Haji, and sand niggers, is the demonization process, part of propaganda. That's what it needs to take place in order for them to be able to attack without having post-traumatic stress syndrome, without feeling some type of connection in the humanity of the others. But I'm gonna tie all this into how it play the same part in the hood like when we grow up, right?
They start telling us that you have to be ready for your little kids to shoot at you, be ready for women to fight you, and just saying that, pretty much saying everything to make those people seem like they're animals and they're lower than everybody else.
I want to stop right there. Little kids fighting you and women. Notice that you see an increase of police officers beating on women and also killing kids. Killing children. They go to a pool party where children are in bikinis and swim trunks and slamming teenage preteens on the ground as if they got weapons and guns, and you feel me? And they are trying to I can't say as if they have guns, because you can have a gun, but as if they have a gun with ill intent. A gun is not demonic. I have guns. But if I don't have the ill intent to do you harm, why would you attack me? Just on the simple fact that I am an African with a gun? So, the same thing that is told to the troops to attack the Iraqis is the same thing that's told to police officers for them to go back into the city. And I actually signed up for the LAPD to try to become part of the LAPD, right? I went and took a test. And they told me it was a pass or fail test. And I asked them, well, how much did I pass or fail? No, you just failed. I said, okay, well, what did I fail by? You just failed. And I asked him, I said, well, what is the margin? There have to be so many you get right and so many you get wrong to where you consider it pass or fail. You just failed. I'm not at liberty to answer that. Okay, go ahead, get on. I failed because they wanted me to, not because I was incompetent. You feel me? So, and maybe I just didn't fit their criteria. But I did walk in there with the braids, baggy clothes, and this and that. And one of the questions I remember was, if you had a family member that committed a criminal act, would you be able to arrest them? So they needed to know if you was able to fight against your family for the cause that we have. That is very important.
During the first deployment, our primary mission was as a humanitarian work, and during the whole deployment all the way till November, the only humanitarian work that we did was probably a week or two trying to fix a park in the city, which...
Okay, humanitarian work, that was their main mission. Now understand what he just said. Our main mission, this is why y'all going. We sending y'all there for humanitarian reasons. But the only humanitarian work we did is probably a week. So that means that's how they structured the funds. We got this much money for humanitarian work, but they actually using those funds for occupation. And how can you do humanitarian work when you got two hands on your gun? You can't help nobody. You can't help nobody out of a ditch when you holding a gun.
It was devastated by everything, and that was the only thing we did for a week or two, and it was a different platoon. And after that, the only thing we're doing is harassing people, driving like crazy on the streets, pretending like it's our country, it's our city, and we can do whatever we want to do. One of the times at the ammunition supply point that we were guarding, because they had a lot of ammunition saved up from whatever they were collecting when Saddam Hussein was in power, we were ordered to protect it and take necessary actions to make sure that those people that trying to steal it, which was probably trying to feed their family, because I mean people barely have any food and water there, and what we would do, we would catch them, we would harass them, we'd tie their hands up behind them, put them on their knees. And that's what Saddam Hussein used to do to execute people. And we knew that people knew it, and we would put them on the ground, and we would just fire shots like we were shooting at them, shoot at their cars, shoot in the air, calling them names. There was, and continuously we were told to, everybody wants to get you, everybody wants to kill you, you have to be careful, everybody's against you, we're just here to make sure everything goes clean.
So, in that, if they're constantly told that, right, and then on our side, we're teaching our children, look, you got to watch out for the police, they'll do you this way, that. So I could just imagine, in that situation, I can't relate to the American soldier. I cannot. I can relate to the Iraqi. I can relate very well to the Iraqis. I'm talking about, like, I understand their pain. Because the United States executive branch do us the exact same way. When they come through the war on drugs. When they come through kicking in doors, and it's like, hold up, why are you doing me? I start getting pulled over by the police around 12, 13, 14. It's like 14, it really ramped up. 14, man, but junior high, the police start pulling us over. I'm having all our bikes laid down, writing down all of our names on sheets of paper, and then searching us, searching our bikes, looking at them like they looking for stuff. Like, we don't sell drugs. Why are you messing with us? Like, we don't sell drugs. We don't sell drugs. And then they asking us questions. Are we gang? No, we not gang members. Like, what are you saying? The police asked us were we gang members more than the gang members asked us were we gang members. The police treated us like gang members. We then start to identify with the gang members because of the police harassment. Then us and the gang members, our bike, we had a bike crew. Now we used to bunny hop and do wheelies, do the tricks. We used to ride bikes all the way to Signal Hill in Long Beach from Compton just to ride down a steep hill. That was what we did. We used to go to the beach on our bikes, teenagers, like we was pre-teens. We wanted to go to parties and have fun and get girls, you know what I mean? We used to go to the mall. I used to have my whole crew put their bikes in a dumpster because we didn't have locks to lock our bikes up. We don't want nobody to steal them, so we put them in a dumpster, enjoy ourselves at the mall, and then go to the dumpster, get our bikes, and leave. This was what but when we got back to Compton, we was hit with the reality that we was under siege. Then it became, man, fuck the police. When we used to run from the police for fun. Soon we see them, we didn't want to be harassed, we ran from them. They chased us. Yes. All right. I'm going to go to part 2. I got to go finish cooking for my babies. So I'm going to go ahead and cut. Let me cut right now, then I'm going to go to part 2.